Oh, it's nice to be back. What am I stepping on? What did I leave behind? Anyway. Hi, everyone. It's been 1 week since I had eye surgery. And, what? Is there something on my face? Oh, okay. So I was using these because, well, I probably shouldn't get dust in my eyes, but I might have a better solution. But either way, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. This is going to be the first time I'm in the shop in over a week because I literally had eye surgery a week ago today. And my eyes aren't completely, 100% yet. Hopefully they will be very soon. We don't know. The correction was very small, but again, it was kind of invasive. A lot of details that are kind of gross I don't really want to go into right now because I don't want to gross you guys out. But the swim goggles are definitely dust-free. So if I need them, I'll use them. Otherwise, I have boxes of parts. I got some shopping done. The car is in need of repair. We're going to start that today. Now, my last video was the behind-the-scenes look at how we got this thing to the racetrack in the first place, but let's just go through what happened when I was on the racetrack. Well, if you all remember, this fell out, which was, let's see, brand new, and that's destroyed. Luckily, the caliper's not destroyed. The brake rotor itself seems to be pretty good. That's not really the bad part, though. By the way, yeah, the caliper pins literally fell out, and that's why the brakes failed. And it happened on both sides. We will rectify that, trust me. The real problem was when we hit the wall. Luckily, we didn't hit it with the whole side of the car and break, like, the rear end or the front suspension or any suspension whatsoever. We didn't cave the center section in when we hit the wall. No, it localized to this corner. Luckily, I spun it sideways at the last minute. But the problem is it bent the rear clip. Now, obviously, it's bent. You can see it got pushed that way, and it bent this bar here and this bar for the fuel cell, but only on this side, because when it kicked over, this side kind of stayed stationary. This side kind of pooped in here. It shouldn't be in the middle bent in because, well, they got this stringer bar here and that one up front there. So hopefully it's not too bad. It is bent, though. And we're going to try to figure out if I can, in fact, push this thing out, which, yeah, she's kicked over a good amount, but I've heard from some people that you can shove these back out. I'm going to call my chassis guy, see if he can come over, because I'm not cleared to drive yet. So I've got a 10-ton porta-power behind me. I figure we could probably take some measurements, and maybe, just maybe, we're going to have to pull this cell out and pull the body off, around it and cut the bumper off and cut all this stuff off. But maybe, I've done worse, but maybe we can just put it over there to over here and shove it back straight, take some measurements, maybe weld a couple things up to make it stiff and go in that direction. Now, obviously, you see this fuel line is a little bit taut. It was not that way when we left. I do have another line. This was temporary. This was literally just to put me on the racetrack. I'm going to be running another one around and so that it's out of the way of everything. Don't worry, that's on the table. We're going to be making that happen. Bought a bunch of stuff, though. I'm almost out of welding wire. Here's the fuel line. Like I said, it's got all the fittings that we're going to use for that. I've got this. This is going to be useful in the shop. It's a air dryer for my air tank over here so that I can use this blasting cabinet and my spot blaster if I need to, and it'll take all the moisture out. I do have to drain the tank. I haven't done that yet. We got to make sure all the moisture comes out. I got new brake pads. Oh, I got bottles because you never know sometimes. You need to spray things. I got a new solenoid because if you heard in the video, the starter kind of hanging up. Well, that Napa solenoid doesn't seem to release, and I think that's the problem because I never had a problem with the starter itself hanging up. Only when I mounted it to a solenoid, then it started hanging up. I'm wondering if that's the problem. Sorry for the long video, but this is what I'm doing. I got, here's my new slide pins. I'll show you those in a minute. Flap disc, jigsaw blades. Here's some new brake pads. I went back to Hawks. I tried the PFCs. I didn't really like them too much. Ooh, the receipt. Make sure I put that in my pocket. I also got a bunch of other little things that were on sale at Harbor Freight because, you know, I'll just wad that up. There we go. Keep your receipts, people. Got some new gloves. I got another drink holder, which, oh, it's not currently in use, but they're really good. Let's see. I break these constantly, so I grabbed every one of them that I could off the rack, which is those extendo magnets. I do pass on tool, you know, ideas when I find them. Oh, I got some fittings just in case. By the way, I picked up one of these for the truck in case I need a flashlight in emergency. I just throw it in the cigarette lighter. Good to go. They seem pretty bright. But these Harbor Freight Hercules black oxide drill bits. I already have a set of these. They are amazing. They're really sharp. I wouldn't say they're the toughest because I did break one, but I broke it way down at the shank and I was able to grind it off and still use it. But they were on like clearance for 14 bucks and they are sharp forever, so they work. I have been talking way too long. It's already been 5 minutes. Let's start yanking the body off, get the thing at least relieved because you can see the rippling of the body over here because the thing is kicked over to the right, and I don't want to try to relieve this. It's already cracked and broken, but I want to try to get this thing relieved and nice and straight. We're going to pull the quarters and tail off and get to work there first. I had these from the last time I had eye surgery. They fog up a little, but my garage is inherently dusty because the floor is garbage. So I just want to try to expedite the healing process here. Well, the body's off. Now we can get a good look at her. Bumper took a lot of it. And you know what? It did exactly, you know, what I kind of hoped it would. It took most of the impact, but the problem is the impact was big enough that it pushed it into the frame and it helped bend it even more because you can see it's bent right back of the mount here. It's actually a little bit pooched right here, so that's going to need to be addressed. And that's definitely your bend point. You can see it's bent this way, and then the rest of it kind of followed it, you know. Bent, follow. So luckily the bend is here, and we got follow up there, so it's not going to be too bad to push out. This is going to be the bad part to get straight. Hopefully it doesn't really matter because it's behind the axles. What really matters is getting it straight enough that everything up here ties in with it, you know. It needs to be straight all the way forward. So we're going to start disassembly. I think we're going to need to at least, very minimum, pull this fuel cell out. Rear might have to get dropped out too. I'm really sick of stepping on these little, you know, the folding rivets. Well, these shoes are really cheap, like Temu shoes, and everything sticks in them. I don't think the rubber's very good, obviously, because, well, you get what you pay for. So I'll sweep up this crap, and then I think we're going to start measuring. And I don't know where to measure to yet, but I think we're going to start measuring. So I got to kind of dinking around and doing stuff, and I bought this, you know, the dryer setup I showed you earlier, and I'm kind of piecing parts and stuff together, and I found some, you know, old fittings and some new ones that I bought. I kind of wish I'd bought two of these, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I just realized that I have everything that I need to put it in. So I got this, I don't know what this is, this Russian thread sealant. I like using that. So I'm gonna go through, and it actually works really good instead of the like Teflon tape. I got it in some kit to build something, and I don't know, they gave me a full bottle of this thread sealant, and for air tools and stuff, it is immaculate. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why it works, but it does. So I'm gonna just take this and I'm gonna mount it here. I already got her torn down. It's kind of hard to work around here because my shop ain't big enough, but you know, hopefully I'll get some room someday. But I got the ball valve that I put on. She's shut off. And I see up here, I got a couple little holes. And I'm like, well, if I go and I take some, like, I don't know, muffler strap, and I just kind of bolt it to these holes here and run it down to the mount that's on the back of it. I know that's kind of ghetto, but like, you know, a couple quarter 20s and hang it off of this thing. It shouldn't go anywhere, right? I mean, it's not really a very heavy moving part, so I figured that'll be good enough for now, and maybe someday I'll build a nice heavy gauge bracket for it, but it just needs to stop it from, you know, ripping off, I guess. And I'm gonna bend it to the right here so that it stays out of the way of all the other stuff, and hopefully that won't fall over and knock it off. So just again, like I said, just kind of dinking around until I can get somebody else here and put our heads together to measure this. Who knows a lot more than I do. I'm sure I could handle it, but you know, I'd rather have people who know better than me to figure this out. That was inevitable. Snapped the fitting right off because I tried to just monster truck the this thing into here, which it's about 90 degrees off still. And yeah, that's why I needed a second fitting. So I knew I was going to do that, but I just did it anyway, apparently. So I think I might have to try to get that back out, go to Home Depot, get a ride to Home Depot because, well, I can't see still, and I haven't been cleared to drive. Maybe I'll buy like 3 of them fittings and try again. But for now, we're kind of out of air, so maybe I can get it at Tractor. Nah, Home Depot is like a mile after that, so... Well, we'll get to this as soon as we figure out if I can even get that out of the old fitting with a easy out, which they're not easy. So, yeah, there's that. Guys, miracles have happened. I've never in my entire life had an easy out that actually worked. Wow. All right, I take back what I said, I guess, you know, because 1 out of a million means it's good. So turning away from that debacle, I might as well start disco in this thing. Wow, I just looked at the back and it's like, okay then. I was planning on redoing all this stuff anyway. I mean, I got to take and drill the rivets out of the roof and pick the whole back end up anyway. I got a bunch of 1/2-inch stock up here, but it's pretty cheap. Maybe I'll just go get some more if I need to. I'm not going to like mess around. Stinks it only lasted, 20 laps, but that's racing. So I'll just start disassembling. I think I'm going to take fuel inlet off. Probably pull the cover off of the fuel cell container. Maybe pull the cell out. Probably shocks and disco the rear. Maybe take the lower drive shaft hoop off and just drop the rear down as far as it'll go. Maybe then I can get a little bit of angle to put a pusher in here, like the Porta Power. Get that in here. Maybe I'll even start measuring something. I don't even know what to measure off of, but I know these things are built square. So If one measurement doesn't line up, then I obviously need to push it another way. So I'll probably do a bunch of that stuff, and we'll get to work on this thing. Just at least the preliminary stuff can get done today or whenever I get a chance. And hopefully we can start straightening soon. So I've decided I'm looking for my tape measure. That's a really nice one. I got a Stanley Fat Max that I found on the side of the road that I've been using. Hey, I found another lug that I was looking for. But I'm interested in looking in here and seeing what went wrong. Yeah, see, that was finger tight. You can actually see in here and look at the pad and how far down that is. That should be, let me see if I can focus her a little bit better. This should be up here all the way at the top. It's not. Oh, yeah, that's, you can't push it back up either. I bet you if we pull this thing off, you're going to see it be worn out. Oh, maybe not. Got plenty of room here. No, it's actually okay. Not even banana shaped. What about you? That one's okay too. That's okay. We'll just take these and throw them away because I got other ones. And yeah, you shouldn't pad slap, but you know what? These pads are so smooth that the rotor's still smooth. Look at it. I can run my finger across it and it's just, yep. It's like glass, watch. Whee! No wonder I wasn't slowing down even when the brakes were working. So, I don't want to shit on the brand because, I mean, obviously everybody, uses their own brake pads for different types of usage. But, like, these were okay when they got hot, but at Stafford, we aren't going as fast. Thompson, yeah, they would get a little bit warm and they would start to work, but I got a good multi-use brake pad that I just have always used. I've never had any issues, and it's just a standard Hawk Black, I've always used these. I've tried other things, and then I end up right back where I started with the same brand and the same type. So, like I said, the rotors, they're smooth. These pads don't give a damn. They are a medium compound, and when you hit the brakes, they clamp the hell out of the pads, and they will chew up your brakes a little bit. Not as bad as the blues or even a couple of steps up on that, but just a regular Hawk Black. That's all I've ever run, and I can lock them up easy. Trust me. So I'm just going to pad slap that, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to fix that bolt issue. All right, I'm over on this side, and apparently I still haven't cleaned up the sheet metal that I keep stepping on, but in order for me to not have any sort of error with these slider pins anymore, which I actually had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, mine were tight and mine actually loosened up on me and one fell out. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to take that as verbatim as what's happened to me. I'm just going to kind of guess that I'm the one who left it loose. So in order for that to never happen again, I've got my bottle of Loctite 271. This is literally red Loctite. And I'm going to show you the correct amount to never have this happen again. So what you do is a couple of drops here, and there we go. That seems pretty good. And then you just kind of take the bolt and just jam it in and make sure you crank this down to about as far as you can tighten it without stripping it. And hopefully that will solve it. All right, guys, I think my eyes have had enough for today. I don't want to be in too dusty of an environment, even though I'm not really doing that dusty of work. It doesn't really matter. The floor is not sealed. It's kind of garbage and crumbly, and even every step I take, it kind of, aerosolizes, I guess, or aerates, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the word is that smart people use. So I'm going to take a break, go inside for the day. I'll be back maybe tomorrow, depends on how I feel. But we still got a laundry list of things to do. And I have a huge list of changes and upgrades and fixes to make besides the rear clip. So we're just going to have to keep plugging away. It's a few days later. I got a little bit busy doing some other stuff and trying to let the old eyes heal up, because if you remember last year, well, when I had my late model, I had the same thing done and it took me forever to get back in the shop, because every time I was in a dusty environment, it made my eyes kind of blurry a little bit. So I've been trying to take extra precautions, like leaving the door open, using eye protection, stuff like that. But I did want to take a second out and put this in a public video and say thank you dearly to every single one of you who subscribed, shared me with your friends, shared me on Facebook pages, shared me to whatever your interest is, and trying to, give me to other people. And we actually did hit that 1,000 mark, which was the very first step for us to try to expand the channel, because there was a couple times where I've had, a few milestones. Like I had to hit 100 subscribers in order to just change the URL. Now I've hit 1,000 so that I can start monetizing the page and getting ad revenue from Google, which was, if you've been with me a long time, exactly what I was trying to do. And yeah, it's been kind of a grind. And, I'm just a guy working out of a little essential pole barn in his backyard and trying to make his dreams happen. And you've been with me for quite a while along that way. And I appreciate every single one of you that's been there and helped me out and shared me and subscribed and done all that stuff. But we're over the 1,000 mark now, and that means I can start getting them pennies from Google, and we can really start the journey to hopefully getting Google to buy me some tires. So like I said, I don't know how far the whole YouTube thing is going to go. I'm just kind of doing this for fun. I'm enjoying it. If I can get a little bit of money back out of a multi-billion-dollar corporation for this thing, that's great. Or maybe some other projects in the future. But like I said, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. That's awesome. I can't believe we're actually there finally. I didn't think we'd ever get there. I thought this would just be kind of me sharing my hobby with everybody for free for a long time. But we're there, and just wanted to say thanks again. But I'm going to open the door up, going to put some eye protection on. We're going to get back to work on this thing. Now, like I mentioned before, there's a laundry list of things that need to get done for comfort, of all things, to get this car ready. Now, what I'm doing is, when I took it for test, there were a bunch of stuff that just didn't feel right. Like the pedal, the throttle pedal, had a lot of throw to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the pedal out of the car, which is really not going to be fun. And I have to unbolt it from the mount that I created, and I have to take the rod off of here, which is another pain. I'm going to take that carburetor off because that's my brother's, but I need to take that throttle pedal and actually lengthen it so that it actually shortens the throw of the pedal. Also, I need to move the throttle down so that full throttle is further away from my foot. So I need to shorten the throw and make it further away. So there's two things that I need to do, and that will help a lot in driver comfort on this car. Then after that, we got a whole mess of other things to tackle, but at this point, I can't really do a heck of a lot because I've kind of made a deal. Since my eyes are still kind of and I can't really do a hell of a lot in ways of like being in dusty environments, like I mentioned, I made a deal with my chassis builder, Zach. He's going to come down and he's going to pick the car up and he's going to bring it back to his shop. We're going to do the rear clip right. He wants to put the car on the jig, and he wants to make sure that, that the thing is straight, clean, everything. He says we don't want to just stick a port of power to the back and just shove it back straight, because what if it's actually bent down? What if it's bent over? What if it's not straight? He's like, we're going to do it right. So that's what we're going to do. So I can't do a heck of a lot right now, but I can get to work on some of those drivability issues, like that throttle pedal and maybe some other things. But I'm going to text him, make sure that this thing is as torn down as he wants, and he's going to come by in a couple days to pick it up. So we got a couple days to do some of the list that I need to get right in order for this thing to be perfect, even if our season might be over. Also, real quick, I want to apologize to everybody who has been subscribing to the channel, knowing that this is a racing-based channel, and fabrication and everything that goes on behind the scenes of owning a race car. Now, this entire season, this entire year, really been kind of lame on the racing content, and I do apologize for that, but the whole point of that is this season was to be a rebuilding year. I wanted to get the new car, get it ready, get it to Stafford, because that's the plan for next year. Next year, we plan on going full-time. This year, yeah, I ran a couple races at Thompson, didn't go so great. I had a second once. But again, the whole point was to look forward to the future. So I really do apologize for the lack of racing content. That will change in the future, except it's going to be like next April, which that kind of stinks. Or it actually might be the first week of May next year. So when there's not racing stuff going on, I will supplement it with something else. I got another project going on that's very important to me, and I want to bring that here. This thing can be safe in my trailer over the winter, and we can work on something else. But that's my apology and my fill-in for not having as much racing content when I'm having essentially a racing channel. And I know a lot of new people have subscribed. I figured I owed you guys a little bit of an explanation on that. So either way, we got to get this place not only cleaned up, because I can't even walk around here, but I got to get back to work. Got the throttle pedal out, which if I was a much more thin person, that would have been much easier, but since I'm middle-aged, couldn't breathe. All right, so I'm going to weld that extension on because, well, I don't trust one bolt. See, this was the original spot where I had the throttle in before. This extension was in my old car, and I cut it off thinking it wouldn't, fit in this chassis. However, apparently it does fit in this chassis. So I dug it out of the scrap metal bin that I threw it away in, lined all the cut marks back up, and put a bolt in there to hold it. I'll just zip that on, and then we can go ahead and throw that back in the car. Probably have to cut the notch for the rod a little taller. I might make a patch panel and spray paint that and rivet that in at the bottom so it looks a little cleaner. It's not going to be perfect, but I mean, it's a little less butch than it was. So we'll get this done, go squeeze my fat body back underneath that dashboard, see if I can't stop breathing again. Once we get her cooled off, paint it maybe, who knows, and hopefully we can move forward. So I've been in and out of the car a few times just trying to get the throttle throw fixed, and it's not quite where I need it. It needs to go down a lot more which means this rod needs to be extended because I can't open it up with the threads that I have available. I was thinking of moving the throttle rod to another hole right like there on the carburetor, but I don't think that's really a good idea, you know, because you got a throttle stop here, and if you bolt it to the pedal, you got a lot more. This won't want to twist away from the throttle stop, I think. But I don't know. I ain't no dang engineer. Either way, I'm going to try to figure out some way of creating or modifying, I guess, this throttle rod. I might even try to find another throttle or another like piece of rod that's like a 1/4-inch rod like this, and then tap it in my, well, vise to, it's all, you know, there's supposed to be one left hand and one right hand, so you can just turn the rod and it just extends or contracts the way you want it to. Well, this one has apparently 2 right hand threads that are just normal thread. So if you want to adjust it, you got to make sure one side's good and then just kind of spin one side in, or vice versa. And yeah, that's just how it is. I'm going to make a little filler plate to make that hole a little bit less gaudy, because I picked the throttle throw up a whole lot, and now I like it, but the problem is it's still too high. So the process continues. As you can tell, it's now getting dark outside. Kind of typical for how things work around here. Also typical for how things do around here are the problems that I've encountered doing this. When I originally put the pedal back in after putting the extension in, it hit the dashboard. And so I cut a bunch of it down, free through the pedal, no clearance issues, right? Never touched it again. Nothing. Done, right? Started farting around with the old throttle rod here, and you can see, yeah, she's been extended or shortened at one point and then re-extended again, which I put a little 1/4-20 fine thread bolt on this end to get it longer. And you know what? I'm actually quite happy with the pedal throw and position now, so I can really work with that. The only issue is once I started doing all that, I had not only had to cut this hole about 3 times as long, which now I have to make a patch panel for. Well, now the pedal says, oh, I hit the dashboard again. Like, well, you didn't before. Why do you do it now? It's like it regrew on its own. I don't get it. So I'll just take a hammer and go to the dashboard and be done with that once I get a hammer in there. But after pumping about 1 gallon of gas into a dry engine, I had to fire it back up and clean it out. And I tested the pedal throw while I was sitting in the seat, and it feels really good. So that comfort issue is now resolved. I'm going to put the air cleaner assembly and stuff back together and probably just get out of here for tonight because I got stuff to do. Like I mentioned before, there's not a heck of a lot that I can really do on the whole comfort front because, well, I got to get the list written down, number 1, because I've already forgotten. At least I wrote it down. Number 2, because the car is getting picked up in a couple days, like I'd mentioned before, to go hit the jig and get fixed. So I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple more things before Zach comes and grabs it. And I got to make sure I get a ride to the liquor store because apparently I'm not cleared to drive yet. But I can buy him a case of beer for his efforts and obviously compensate him accordingly. But the only thing I got left is making that little patch panel and then checking the list. I'll probably wander back in here tomorrow at some point, and then I'll let you know what we're doing then. So, all right, back in the shop, I got a few parts for the compressor because, well, I snapped that one fitting off. So I went back to Harbor Freight where they had the correct reducer fittings on sale. Well, typically, if it's Harbor Freight, everything's on sale. But they sell a little pack of them like this, and I need that middle one right there. It's like $6 and change. And if I went to Lowe's or Home Depot to find a 1/4 to 3/8 reducer male-to-male fitting like this, they're like $6, and they didn't even have that specific fitting. I went to Lowe's. They didn't have that specific fitting. They had this one down here, and then I had to get a male-to-male coupler end on the bottom. It was a convoluted mess. It would have cost me as much to buy one fitting than to just buy 2 packs of fittings. So it's like, the hell with it. I went back. So I got to fix this compressor. Then we have to get to patching up the firewall area, and then I'm gonna make a list off of the notes on my phone, put it on the whiteboard, and we're gonna start going through that. And tomorrow or Saturday, Zach says he's gonna come and pick the car up so that he can fix the rear end. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that thing straight again. I don't know about y'all, but that seems pretty good. Good enough to hold the muffler on in my pickup truck. It's good enough to hold the air compressor thing on. So it's already working. I've been using the compressor off camera, trying to do a little bit of front end work, trying to get the numbers that we need out of there, and that's taken me literally all night. Unfortunately, with a channel like this, I love to show you guys everything. You know, I love to show you how to do this stuff and where to do this stuff, but the problem is some of the information that I do kind of keep secret, even though I haven't been performing that well lately. That doesn't mean I won't be in the future, and some of this is like proprietary knowledge that I'd really rather hang on to. So I haven't been filming what I've been doing up front to get the numbers that I need. Yes, I know there's a camber caster gauge on it and it's not on the ground. That's just because I left it on there when I raised the car back up, so don't read too much into that. But I've been using the air tools to try to kind of work with some of the stuff that I need. Like, I had to move a motor mount and stay within the measurements that they require us to be in. And that means I had to hog out something with an air tool. Unfortunately, I didn't have the right air tool, which led to me breaking said air tool. And I really chunked the heck out of my Timu carbide rasp, or whatever you call these things, carbide bit, whatever they're called. Yeah, sheared the head right off her. Luckily, I already have a right angle die grinder. It's the, I can't find it, but it's the Milwaukee one that I have, and that thing's pretty fantastic. So I think what I'll be doing is going to either Harbor Freight or Tractor Supply, get a straight one instead of the right angle one. I really need the straight one, because this is really a pain to get that thing in there anyway. And luckily, when I bought this from, I think it was Tractor Supply, it's an old Job Smart. It was like 17 bucks or something, so it's not too bad, and it lasted me quite a while. I'm also out of materials. Now, I'm looking for a thicker, like a steel wire or steel rod that I can just take and weld it to the bottom side of a chassis in like a little U shape like this, or V shape, whatever you want to call it. And I want to build tow hooks on the front clip that kind of mimic what a factory chassis has. Now, a factory chassis has a little slot that's up in the front of the horn, and you can usually take and hook a strap or a chain or anything into that hole, and you're usually pretty good to go when you need to hook the car into the trailer. I don't have that on this car. I've been using an axle strap and just kind of wrapping it around the front, but I can only do that on one side because I only have one axle strap, so that's kind of a pain. I'd really rather just hook something on, and I've been looking around, and the only real metal rod that I have is, well, like all thread, but I don't really want to use that because, well, that's useful as something else. So I think when I go, I don't know where I'll go. I'll go to Harbor Freight, not Harbor Freight because they don't have metal. Maybe I'll go to Tractor Supply tomorrow on my way back from a doctor's appointment and fall over. And maybe I can find the right tools and the right parts to finish up what I got to do to this thing this week. But I'm not sure when Zach's picking the car up, because I could be tomorrow or Saturday. I'm not sure what he said. Not sure if I'll get all these done in time for him to pick the car up, but all I'm going to say is that I'm pretty glad to just be out here right now and be able to work on the car because, well, it sure beats sitting in the house. I might tidy up a few things, get some tools taken off. I might get in the car and adjust the mirror because that needs to be done either way, even though, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to make it back out for this season because we got this weekend, which is tomorrow and Saturday, but I think there's only one night that the street stocks race at Stafford. And then after that, there's the week after that, and I don't think the car will be fixed in time. So I don't think our season's going to continue after wrecking it. So that's the unfortunate thing, though. I just told you, we were planning on just getting ready for next year, but to really kind of shut my season off like before midsummer, then build this brand new car, then take the brand new car out one time and wreck it. It's really been kind of frustrating, but it's all part of the process. The eyes are starting to heal up. I'm starting to be able to see again, which is nice. It really kind of turned, towards the positive in the last couple of days. I know I'm talking an awful lot, and I apologize. I'll get off here pretty quick, but we knew that this year was kind of going to be a wash. So, like I said, I'll hopefully make it up to you guys next year with a whole bunch of content with racing, because we're going to be full-time and I'm going to have other projects going on, and that's the plan. So we're sticking to it. So I'm in here just, with the TV on, some other YouTuber, and they're going to be talking over me the whole time, but I'm just kind of cinching down the rear view mirror here. What I did was I had it down here, and it was kind of right here, and then it would just look straight into my head, and I couldn't see behind me. So what I did was I rolled it up and then turned it back down. Hopefully that'll kind of point it up over the top of my head, and hopefully my fat head will not get in the way, and we can actually see behind me, and that would be really nice, because I don't feel like moving all the wiring and gauges and switches and all that stuff, because I like it being where it is. I also purchased a new helmet off of Speedway Motors as a garage sale item. I had been kind of living with the fact that my helmet was a size too small, kind of, all the time. And it is just uncomfortable to have something like that. I'm sick of having headaches. And unfortunately, my fat head is literally a double XL. So the double XL helmet does fit okay, a lot better than the old one. Problem is since it was a garage sale item and it hadn't been sold, it had sat on a shelf for a while, so it's a SA 2015, and next year they're going to have new rated ones in 2025. So hopefully I can use it next year, because I spent, not the regular resale price, but enough on it. So, all right, let's get that all done here. That seems to be okay. I should have did it with a helmet on just to see what it looked like, but I moved it from here to up here. Hopefully that'll help. So we've hit the unfortunate point now where we are now out of tools and out of materials, what I need to use. So also, we're kind of running into a really difficult point in the channel right as we're starting to take off, which really kind of stinks, because now the car is going to be going to the shop to get fixed on a jig, which is the right way to do it if you have a race car. If you have somebody who can put it on a jig, if you have damage, do it, because you do not want a race car that is not square. Either way, I might have to roll in a project here just to make the channel more interesting, I think. So, not sure quite immediately what that's going to be, because this car is going to be leaving by the end of this video, hopefully, fingers crossed. But I got to keep creating content for you guys, so we're going to have to figure something out real quick. Maybe, what if we bring the old car back in here? Actually, you know what? I still have stuff to do. I have a rear end to put together for this car. I've got other stuff that I could create for this car that needs to be done. So we'll figure it out. Hopefully it won't take too long at the chassis shop. Hopefully he doesn't have to put a rear clip on it, but if he does, oh well. It is what it is. It's only money. I can't be buried with it, I guess. Either way, I'll have to see you tomorrow, because, again, I'm kind of out of stuff to do tonight. So, see you then. It's the next day. I've come up with a few things we got to do. First and foremost is I've been searching my buckets of parts and junk and looking for some steel rod, because I was out today doing errands and I did not go get any. So my wife is actually kind of being a trooper, and she's out at Harbor Freight getting me the die grinder that I need to fix the motor mounts, because they kind of moved on me. And I had to hog a hole out to get the bolt back through. And like I said yesterday, I broke my other one. So she's getting me a nice straight one with a long extension that I can get down in there and fix that. And then I'm going to be building tow hooks on the front frame, like what we had on the stock frame cars. See, on these stock frame cars, they had a hook here, and I could easily go in and just yeet, hang my hook right into that and tie the car down. It was no problem. So I searched my spare, scrap bin. This is basically stuff that I keep that I might find a use for someday later on that I don't have the heart to throw away immediately. Like if I need a bumper support, hey, look at that. I got a piece of 1x right here, you know, and I can cut her down and whatever I got left can go in the scrap bucket. But I found this old window net rod. So I'm like, that might work. Then I found the cousin to it, and I actually stuck it in the vise, and I kind of gave me some length and just kind of bent it down around that. And I figure if I cut it like that, that'll leave me, or like that, it can be a little smaller. That'll leave me a nice little tow hook, and I can stick it right on the front frame, right around where that hole used to be, on an angle, like down. So because, the tow hooks are going to be pulling it down that way anyway, so I'll hook it like that, and I can put one on each side, and that'll make my ride, at least in the trailer, a lot more safe, because what I do out back is I hook onto the fuel cell protector bar, and I go from one point to the next, so it's held on in 2 spots. But up front, I don't want to use my axle strap. I want to actually have solid mounts to hold the car in place, a little more secure and safe in the trailer. Also had my follow-up visit today for the eye doctor. I know it's not really pertinent information, but got a little bit of good news there. So hopefully we'll just keep on healing up. But hopefully within the next day or two, Zach will be coming to get it. And if he doesn't have time to come get it, I'm healing up. So hopefully I can just stuff this thing in the trailer and take it to him. But we're going to get this car right. Like I said, it's just a matter of time. Those came out pretty good. I kind of got lost. It was really dark when I was trying to weld it. I think I'll polish that up a little bit. But a little coat of paint makes everything look better. So that'll help. I'll hook her right there. Tie the car down. Other side looks like it came along pretty well. Yeah, that looks all right. Same basic spot. It'll hold. It's going to go this way anyway, away from this steering bolt. So it's going to go down like that. So other than that, I did manage to get the engine mount bolts fixed because I was trying to play with that a little bit to try to get the numbers out of the right front that I wanted. We're not quite there yet, but I'm a lot happier with what I was able to get. It's just that we really kind of run out of room with what we can really do over there with these chassis. I think with a factory chassis, you might be able to do more, but I think that the headers actually have more to do with this than anything else. And if you really want more than what we're looking for, you better be a real talented fabricator or not get caught, because you're going to have to cheat. Tow hooks. Mirror. Right front issues, we'll call that good. Now I gotta go look for more stuff to do. I forgot to film a couple things. Sorry about that. But I wrapped up the power steering fluid reservoir. Like I said, we had issues with trying to find a place for that. Here might be better. I'm not too sure. I'd have to probably play with the plumbing to get it to go there. But where it is where it is right now. So I wrapped it in some heat reflective stuff, try to keep some of that header and engine temperature off of the power steering. Didn't seem to be an issue, but hot fluid doesn't really work that great in a race car. I pounded this on here and, well, just put a fingerprint in my paint because I didn't realize that was still tacky. Yeah, that was great. But anyway, that should cover up a lot of that hole. I really hate, putting something together and then having to adjust it, and then I have a giant hole. It just looks really unclean, or you tape over it or something stupid. This time, no, a little bit different. We actually put something nice together and painted it, so it's very, very subtle. After all the adjustments and work that I've done to try to get the numbers out of the car that I want, I don't think that we're going to have to reroute the steering, which is a big deal. That's going to save me a lot of work in the future. And man, I really wish this car was ready so that I could just take it out one more time. Go out next week for the final race of the year just to shake it down. But, oh well, that's just kind of how it is. If the car was fixed, I'm probably certain I'd have it out there at least one more time. I didn't want to go kind of one and done. I wanted to take it out, and I wanted to take it to the practice, which we did, and we learned a lot. But that's all we got to do. We didn't get to go through practice for the regular race. We didn't get to go through the heat race. We didn't get to go through a feature. We didn't do anything except for basically shake it down, wreck it, bring it back to the shop. So the notebook for this car is annoyingly light, if I could say that. It's really... It stinks. It stinks that I really couldn't put something together to really kind of fine-tune and figure the car out. And the car's repairable easily. Zach's very talented fabricator, and, he'll get me fixed up and straightened back out. I mean, I made sure the brake caliper isn't going to fall off this time, that's for sure. If you saw the amount of Loctite I put on this thing, it's telling how serious I am about that. So, like I said, it's going back on the jig. It'll be straight. I'm trying to tell myself it's going to be okay and that everything will work out in the end. My problem is that this channel is dedicated to doing things with cars, and that happened. Oh well. So we'll figure something else out to do with cars. I got a Crown Vic I need fixed. I've got a project that's very important to me, and we'll put that on the channel. But either way, I am going to go inside and watch the SK Lights crash at Stafford. They won't be happy I said that, but it's true. And I'll see you guys tomorrow or whenever the car gets picked up. It's the next day. It's like 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday. I know this video's kind of been all over the place lately because, well, frankly, I can't really do a lot until I get that rear clip fixed, and I can't race it, obviously, but if I could, I'd be at the racetrack. You know that. You guys know I'd be at the racetrack if I actually could race the car. But I know, again, like I said, this video is kind of all over the place. I don't know what to do next. I'm trying to look for things to do. Well, I think I found something to do. All right, so I got an issue with the starter on the car. For some reason, I have this Napa Solenoid, which I figured it would be fine. It's kind of, here, I'll show you. It's a remote solenoid. I think it's a Ford style. I'm not too sure, but whenever I hit the starter on the car, it turns over just fine, but the starter hangs open after I let go of the button for like 2 or 3 seconds. You can hear it kind of whirring away as the engine's running, and then it eventually shuts off. So I'm like, well, I never had that issue before when I didn't have a solenoid. when I was just running the power and the trigger wire straight to the starter. So I figured, you know what? Yeah, I'll go on eBay, grab me an All-Star, see if I can try that. It clearly works. I can save it for a spare. But another problem is exactly the same as what I had with the clutch pedal when that disintegrated on me, if you saw the last video. I have to literally climb underneath the dashboard because the solenoid is in the middle of the car and my stupid self didn't make it serviceable. I bolted through, but I didn't. Here's my plan and why I think it's stupid. Yeah, I can't reach it. I would need 2 people in order to do this. But what I should have done was put the bolt through the back and either tack welded it to the firewall or put a nut on the backside, then put the solenoid on and then put a nut on there. That way, all I'd have to do is just remove the outer nuts, the bolts and whatever stay in the firewall, and I can just service that from here. But I didn't because reasons. So now I have to fold my 6'2", 235 self into about a postage stamp sized interior of this car and try to make this work, which probably won't. By the way, thank you all again for the 1,000 subscribers, because now I've actually gotten monetized by YouTube, so I can start making money on these videos, which is the plan all along. And I'm starting to use my GoPros for time lapses and stuff, like little things around the shop. So I've made about $5 with the whole monetization thing so far. So I bought 2 more GoPros to replace this one, or at least add to this one. This is my old Hero 8 Black. And I use this for time lapses now, so I think they're a little bit cleaner. So I, made $5 and I invested $400 into new cameras. So race car economics. Fat. Anyway, that's never happening again. I am probably just going to stick pop rivets in that, and if I need to get it out again, instead of using a piece of duct tape to hold the wrench on because I didn't have somebody else here, I am literally just going to pop rivet it in, because if I need to get it out, I will just take the pop rivet and drill it out, because I said, yeah, I'm going to put bolts back through the back. No, I'm not reaching back in there. We're not doing that. I mean, I could, and then use needle nose pliers to kind of pinch the bolt and then run the nut down and then move to the other side of it and pinch it again and run the nut all the way into the bolt and then tighten it from there and then put the thing on and put a nut on. Pop rivets. Folding pop rivets, because that's a 1/4 size hole and I needed a 3/16 hole for the pop rivets, so it'll hold. Either way, I'm going to swap that over. Hopefully it'll solve the issue. If you're at all interested in conversation when somebody has these tools out, probably not a great idea, because stuff's probably gone wrong. And as I try to use a wrench with one hand, well, let's be fair here, I'm probably gonna need to put the phone down, but yeah, I can't put the trigger wire on the brand new solenoid I just put on because apparently from the factory it's cross-threaded. So I got my 10, what the hell size is this thing? It's let's see, oh, there it is, 10-32. Yep, that's fun. All right, so I'm gonna try to work that back on so that I can use that back on there, and then we'll test it. All right, there she is. It's all together now. And I think I tightened it, pretty sure. Yeah, it feels tight. Yep. I had to use metric wrenches because I didn't realize that that thing actually was metric. By the way, you can see the pop rivets that now hold that in, which is just fine. I just got off the phone with chassis manufacturer, chassis builder, I should say, Zach. He is going to come down in a few hours, snatch this thing, put it in my trailer, take the whole rigmarole up to his shop, and get to fixing this thing. So I not only need to clean that out, but I need to clean this off and all of my crap, like my driving gear and stuff that I want to kind of leave at the shop needs to come out of that trailer, and I'll probably end up giving him a key so that he can lock it up at his shop and make sure everything's cool. And then, well, she's going to be fixed. And that's the plan. That is literally the plan. My old car is still sitting out here. You remember that thing? Right there, old reliable. I won 5 races with that poor old thing. I'd love to have him come take that thing too, but that's kind of a pipe dream at this moment. I'd love to have him put it on his jig just to see what it says and if it's twisted or not. And if not, well, let's cut some bars and relieve some tension and put it back together. I don't know. Maybe I could use it as a spare. I'm still not really ready to get rid of it, by the way. So, all right, let's get this place cleaned up. Let's get it ready to go back in the trailer so that it can go to be fixed. Trailer's cleaned out. I got a couple things in the way. I got to put tires away. I got to clean out the shop. I got to move this rear right here and just take care of the neglected areas here. A lot of stuff over there that can really go on shelves. I can find a place. I'll make room. But since the fuel cell and everything's out of the car, I kind of had to redneck up the fuel a little bit. Got a ratchet strap around a unused 1-gallon container that had 2-stroke oil in it that was sludged to the bottom, so I made sure to brake clean that out. Ratchet strapped, got the hose for the fuel tank going in there so that it'll run long enough that if we need to move it around, or if he needs to move it around, he can. All I'm going to say is, when you're not running the car, pull the hose out, put the cap, which I don't remember where I put it, back in, move it, do whatever you got to do. It's removable, so I just took and siphoned a gallon out of the fuel cell and stuck it in there. So it is what it is. At least the car won't run on crap gas. So I got to get this thing and load it up because he's coming for the truck and trailer. Everything should be out of the trailer for what I need, and we can start the process of cleaning up the garage without the car in it, which actually might be nice. Frame heights are really low on the right, so it's kind of throwing me off. I think something's settled again, but she's definitely hurt. I'm not feeling too optimistic about saving that clip, but you know what? If we have to put a new on and make it right, or a new one on and make it right, then do it. You know, I want this thing perfect, and stuff happens, and well, that's why we're doing it. But man, the shop is blown out, and this is going to take me a long time to clean this up. Wow, I might even have to get the old vacuum out, because when I was underneath here, there are so many, like if you can even see the sparkles in the floor, there's so many metal flakes that are really sharp little bits And man, they stick in tires, they stick in everything. Luckily, these tires are all junk. Every single one I own is trash. And to be completely honest with you, that's probably why I've been kind of slow the last few years, especially since COVID, because I haven't really been keeping up. They changed how tires are formulated all across the board because of the EPA, and I think I'm used to being able to just say, oh, you know, I got old tires, I can make them good and, you know, run them, and that doesn't work anymore, sadly. So I'm gonna have to really rely on sponsors next year to buy tires, or else this thing ain't gonna be that fast. But we're gonna do what's necessary to be fast, and 20 laps on a car and putting it in the wall is not helping. So good luck. I hope we never do this again. That's being taken care of. She's off to the chassis shop, and luckily it's going there instead of staying here because, well, I just don't have the facilities or the tools to really make it right, and they do, and that's the best possible outcome, is to send it there and make it right. So I'm going to continue cleaning up the shop, but I really wanted to thank every one of you for 1,000 subscriber. We hit that mark, like I mentioned earlier in the video, and now I'm getting monetized. Like I said, I made like almost enough to buy a drink at Dunkin'. Fabulous. But that's great. I mean, I'm not asking a lot out of y'all. I'm just saying, hey, give me a share, give me a subscribe, and we can go on this journey together. And this is going to be an adventure. And I've got some other stuff planned. You know, if you're a car person, you'll appreciate cars and vehicles no matter what, even if it's not racing, because the season's over, man. It's over for me. There's one race left this upcoming weekend, and clearly we're not going to make it. I mean, the car's not even in the chassis shop yet, so we're planning for next year anyway. So I got my Crown Vic, I got diesel trucks, and I have a very special project lined up in the future. Hopefully we can get that here this winter, and that one's going to mean a lot to me. It's really going to mean a lot, and you'll hear the story when it starts. But man, this place is disgusting and I need to clean it. So thank you all again for watching. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. I apologize for the quality of this video. I literally just got done with eye surgery, and I'm probably not even supposed to be in the shop, but I wanted to put something out for you guys. And I wanted to make sure that we stayed in the 1 week minimum video time frame. And I just wanted to repay you all for doing what you have done for me, and that's subscribe, that's share me, that's, you know, send me to your friends, and that's commenting, and that's doing everything like interacting with my stuff. And like I said, I enjoy sharing in my adventures with you all and showing you that even in a dingy little unlevel dusty shop, you can do it yourself. And you really, everybody's capable of learning this if they want to do it. It's not hard, you just got to try a lot, and that's like everything in life. So I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna stop talking now, and until next time.